Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our second community-wide workshop for the Parks Master Plan. We're going to begin we're going to begin this evening with a presentation on community resources and the services we offer. Then we're going to hand it over to RJM Design Group. We have Zach with us from RJM, who's the firm selected for the development of our Parks Master Plan, for a presentation on what a Parks Master Plan is, our timeline, where we're at in the process. And then he's going to turn it back to me, and I'm going to end with giving some information on the most recent Parks Master Plan. Well, the Parks Master Plan that we did 30 plus years ago, and some of the goals and recommendations that actually were met from that Parks Master Plan some time ago. So before we get into the presentation, I wanted to acknowledge some of our attendees this evening and introduce myself. I'm Lisa. I am the Community Resources Manager. We have Cambria, one of our recreation coordinators from Community Resources here. We have our Senior Rec Supervisor, Brian, in the back. We have our Parks Master Plan Project Manager, John Jones. And we also have a couple of team members from our Public Works Department here as well, floating around. I think they're hiding out in the back, but Public Works Director Joe San Clemente and one of our engineers, Andrew, is here as well. So we'll go ahead and start with the presentation. And next slide. This presentation will give you an introduction of who we are, who Community Resources is, the facility and parks that we oversee, and the programs and services that we offer. And actually, I wanted to go backwards a little bit because I also need to recognize some of our commissioners in the audience as well this evening. We actually have a Parks Master Plan subcommittee consisting of 2 commissioners from Public Works and 2 commissioners from Parks and Rec. So our 2 Public Works commissioners on that subcommittee here with us tonight are Scott Hayes and David Graythen. And then we have Jan Britton, also from the Public Works Commission here. And we have our Parks and Recreation Parks Master Plan subcommittee members, Barbara Ellman, Tom Maroney, and our Parks Commissioner, Tracy Horowitz here as well. Okay, so who is Community Resources? Essentially, we are your recreation department for the city of Hermosa Beach. Our team consists of 6 full-time team members, myself, our senior rec supervisor, 2 coordinators, an office assistant, and a rec specialist. And then we oversee about 25 part-time team members, which you can see all noted in the orange there. So we have some theater staff because we have 2 theaters at our community center. We have our youth programs counselors who are out there in our after-school program and summer day camp. And then we have our rec leaders as well. Next slide. Okay, and next slide is an overview of the indoor and outdoor facilities that our department oversees the use of and where we provide our recreation programs throughout. And so the indoor facilities, you can see we have the community center, which consists of the gymnasium, our community theater, our 2nd-story theater, meeting and dance rooms, and also it's where the skate park is located, and we have tennis courts as well at the community center. And we have our Clark building, which we are very excited to have back next year, and the South Park building, and the Kiwanis Club and Rotary Club, and as well, that should be on that list, is our lawn bowling club too. And then outdoor facilities. So we oversee all the recreation uses of the beach, parks, and fields, the green belts, tennis courts, again at the community center, but also at the Clark complex, the pickleball courts that are at the Clark complex, and all the basketball courts at our parks and also within the Clark complex, and then our beach volleyball courts and beach tennis courts as well, which should be on that list. Oh, yes, our senior Hermosa 5-0 Senior Activity Center is in the community center. All right, so getting into the recreation programming that we offer, we have a recreation brochure that shares all the classes, camps, leagues, and monthly bus trips that we do, which we call excursions. We have a park after school program We oversee the film and still photo permits in the city on public and private property. And we oversee all the special events in the city that happen on public property. We host events of our own that we create and staff, and those events are listed there. We partner with Heal the Bay for a coastal cleanup day. We're bringing back the concert series as a city event next summer. The Chamber's hosting them this summer, and we will be hosting them beginning in 2024 and on. So we're very, very excited about that. We have community movie nights in our community theater. Our annual ones are really a screening of Carrie for Halloween, because for those who don't know, Carrie was actually filmed at the community center. Majority of it was. And we also do a holiday movie around the holidays, and we have pictures with Santa as well. So we decorate the theater and the kids go up and take pictures with Santa on the stage. We have a sand snowman contest, our Surfers Walk of Fame, and a Veterans Day wreath laying ceremony. And then, as mentioned, we have our Hermosa 5-0 Senior Activity Center. We oversee that programming. We oversee all the reservations in the indoor and outdoor facilities and leases. And we have an outdoor fitness permit program, and we oversee all the uses of all the fields. So Clark Field and Valley Field is really the two main ones that are used and have permits. Next slide. Thank you so much for letting me give you that overview. I thought it would be helpful to have that to kind of guide tonight's conversation on what Parks and Recreation currently is in the city here. So we can, you guys would have that information and be able to have that as you think about what you would like it to be here in your community. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Zach with RJM.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me? Is this on? I think it is. Okay, wonderful. Few little points of business. Restrooms are right out here. Food and snacks are right in the back and the lobby area there. I'm going to go through a brief presentation similar to the last workshop. If you joined us for the first workshop, thank you very much for coming back to a second workshop. My jokes are the same, so please laugh at them. They don't get any better. I apologize. But it's not really about me. It's about you. The way we do these master plans, the most significant part of anything that we do. I know she said that RJM or I was hired to produce this report. I'm hired to listen. I'm the one who comes out and listens to everybody's voice, what everybody's thoughts and ideas are for recreation here. And then I write that down, record it, and deliver it. That's my job here, is simply to listen. So with that, next slide, please. A little bit of background here. What is the purpose of a park and recreation master plan? Well, as Lisa said earlier, this was going to help us do the development and the management of parks and recreation facilities and programs in the future. It's an actionable plan. Once you have this plan, it's like a roadmap for the future. What does the community want? And how do we get there? What can we do in order to achieve some of these things? Most importantly, I said earlier, it's based on local community needs, your voice, your ideas, not just here tonight, but also in the online surveys, in the paper surveys, all of our outreach methods, all of the voices we want to hear. So please, as we go through this process, don't just leave it here tonight. Go home, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, share it with community members, so that way everybody's voice gets included in this process. It outlines strategic goals for the park improvements. It'll provide financial analysis, as well as offer recommendations to support the Hermosa Beach community in terms of what you're looking for in the future and how do we get there. Next slide, please. It's done over 5 stages. The first stage we go through is an inventory of the existing conditions. I look at everything that you have here, everything that exists. What are the recreation opportunities all the way to the beach? And then we go through an extensive community engagement process, why we're here tonight. And what I do is I balance those two. I see what you have, and I see what you want, and we compare those two elements. That gives us the needs analysis portion, where we start to do that comparison. After that, when I know what the gaps are within the recreation system, then I provide recommendations. And off of those recommendations, we tie it to funding and implementation strategies to complete the roadmap over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Next slide, please. So you can see here, here's our timeline. We're just about in the middle, right there at workshop number 2, and about a 15-month timeline. This is right smack in the middle of the outreach process. We've gone through all the inventory of the existing conditions. We've looked at the program. So I'm going to share a little bit of that tonight. And then we went through and we conducted a multimodal survey. We had workshop 1. I'm going to share some of those results tonight as well, too. And then we're going to get into our process where I start listening. I'll stop talking. And then after This workshop will have yet another workshop. I'll talk about that one at the end. And then I'll go through the needs analysis process. Then we'll complete over a period of months, different analysis, looking at things from different lenses. So I can see, where did community members want something? How does it relate to some of the demographics? How does it relate to some of the geographics? And I'll share some of that information tonight too. Next slide, please. So the inventory of existing conditions, we go through and we look at all the existing documentation, what's been done, what's been written so far, because we don't want to have any conflicts. If something has already been written, I look at that to see if it's pertinent to this process and how it might weigh in on some of the decision-making as we go forward. Then we look at the parks and facility inventory. We look through all the park facilities, we photograph them, we look at the opportunities and constraints, get a lay of the land, so to speak. And then the program inventory, we look at that information. What exists? How can we recreate? What are the program availabilities? And then the demographics. Whom is the community? Next slide, please. So we talked a little bit about, Lisa talked about the programs here a little bit earlier, but one of the things we do is when we go through the parks and facilities and programs, we start to identify, what do you have? And we've gone through 3 community parks, 6 neighborhood parks, 4 parkettes, a green belt, and 8 green spaces, the pier, the plaza, beautiful strand, beautiful beach, 6 recreation buildings. I won't read each one of them, but there are several different facilities in which to recreate in throughout the city. Next slide, please. We also look at the geographic distribution. Where are they? Where's the green belt? Where's the beach? Where are the parkettes? Where are the facilities? And then I overlay that with the residential communities. Where are the people? That's an important thing to know, is where are the people and where are the parks? How do we get from one to the other? That's a key component as we go through our analysis. I like to do a lot of mapping analysis. I like to do a lot of overlays so I can see these visual. And as we go through our reporting process, I like those visuals because that starts to help me identify where the community, what community sections want what. Next slide, please. We talked about the programs as well too. There are several different programs. I'm only mentioning a few of them here, from youth programs to adult services, class, community events, health and well-being options, organized sports, outdoor recreation programming, community event, facility rentals, senior programs, and special needs programs. There are a lot of different programs. When we go through the programs analysis, we look at it from several different levels. We look at it from attendance. We look at it from, where are people coming from? How are the programs being utilized? What programs do you want? What programs exist? We're going to talk about that tonight. Next slide, please. So the demographics, I mentioned that a little bit here. I start at this stage just to get a feel for whom the community is, because people recreate differently at different age groups. This is not an end all be all, but this is just one of those first lenses I look at as we go through this. At a 2021 population of just under 20,000, we can see the distribution between youth, 20 to 34, 35 to 64, and 65 plus populations. Now there's a dashed line. If you have perfect eyesight, you can see it. I can barely see it from here, and I carry my glasses with me. There is a dashed line in there. What that represents is the county average. Now, what I see in this is I see, hey, the youth population, 16% under 19 years of age, is significantly lower than the county average. Well, that's interesting. So this is a good rule of thumb. This is why we go out to the local community to find out what you want. We can't just apply a national average. We can't apply a county average. We have to find out exactly what the community wants as we go through this. You are a unique community and can't be compared to anybody. That's why we go through such an extensive community engagement process. Also look at the midsection there from 20 to 64. You're higher than the county average. So there's a higher population group there within this community. That's important to note as we go through some of our programs. Next slide, please. Now, the community outreach portion. This is where we get into some of the fun stuff. I love hearing ideas. I love hearing people express themselves, but I have to record it. I can't go around the room and have everybody tell me something. I won't remember any of them. I have the memory of a goldfish. I go around the bowl once, everything's new. So as we go through this, I'm going to ask everybody to write some stuff down tonight and to get your ideas on paper as we go through it. But I want to share some of the ideas I've heard so far. What we've done is we go through the community outreach. We've developed a project website. On that project website, it's dedicated. I'll give you the link tonight as well too. It's dedicated to this project. On there, there's a feedback button where you can provide feedback comments at any point in time, tonight, tomorrow, any point in time during this process. We also go through stakeholder interviews, in-person community workshops, just like this one, online and paper surveys, a statistically valid multimodal survey. That's hard to say 5 times fast. as well as pop-up community events. So that way we can continue to capture more resident information. Next slide, please. So I want to share just a little bit about the multimodal survey. This is important. So when we went out to the community, I look at two things here. First, what is the geographic distribution? The map on the right has a whole bunch of orange dots on it. That's where we heard information from the community. So what I see here is there's a good geographic all across the community. I'm getting representation from every area across the community. This is important. Now I look at where do people get their information? Because if we're going to start marketing programs, I want to know how to market to you. I want to know how to advertise some of our website information, advertise how to get involved. 48% of the participants of the survey told us that they get their news and information about the city's parks and recreation facilities and programs through the city website. This is important. So if we're going to start launching things, right there, I can get 48% of my community to start looking at stuff on the website. That's where our first step is. It's not going to be the end, but it's going to be the first step. And then I also asked information about satisfaction. And what I heard from this survey is participants identified 81% said they were satisfied with the maintenance of parks and recreation facilities in Hermosa Beach. That's a high number. That's a great number. That's something to be proud of. I've been doing this for 30 years. That's one of the higher numbers. 76% of the participants said they are satisfied with the recreation facilities, programs, and services provided by the city of Hermosa Beach. That's also a high number. Doesn't mean it's perfect. That's why we're here tonight. Is the city did a master plan, as Lisa said many, many years ago. We've gone through it. It's lived its life. And now we're finding out, what do we want to do in the future? What do you want to do in the future? That's why we're here. So we're going to start to look forward in the future. And what are those satisfaction numbers? What are they? How can we increase them? How can we start to realign the facilities and programs here within the community? Next slide, please. Workshop 1 was held in this very room. On June 27th, we had a presentation similar to tonight. And then we went through a series of questions. And those questions, I'm going to share the answers with some of them here tonight. And we also had that same video presentation online, as well as a survey online that replicated that workshop for people who couldn't make it. And I want to share that information. Before we go to the next slide, though, look at the map on the right. Again, a good geographic distribution. I'm going to say that's because of you guys getting the word out. Also the website and all the marketing information, but most importantly, coming here tonight, when you go home, tell your friends, please, tell your neighbors. At your city, as you're sitting at that stoplight in traffic, roll down the window, talk to the person in the car next to you. Say, hey, did you hear about the workshop? Take part. So as we go through, let's keep that map covered so we get good distribution information throughout this entire process. We had almost 90 surveys completed as part of that first outreach event. I'd like to see more of that. I want to see more and more and more. So that way I know that we're capturing as many people as they want to be involved. Next slide, please. So at that workshop, we asked 3 questions specifically. The first one was, what are the most important community characteristics that make this city a great place to live, work, and play? I asked a follow-up question. What are some of the issues or trends that may be negatively impacting those community characteristics? I asked the third question, how can we, the city, play a role in preventing those issues or trends from negatively impacting those community characteristics? What can they do to address them? So the answers that we heard for that night, these are some of the top line answers. This is not an exhaustive list. We'd be here all night. I just hit some of the top items here from all those survey results combined. Some of those top important community characteristics were the small town feel. People love it here. The beach, the ocean, its walkability, the community itself, the friendliness, the parks, the outdoors, the events, safety in some of the restaurant areas. Some issues that might negatively impact those great community characteristics were elements such as the e-bike rules, speeding of e-bikes, lack of a dog park, parking issues, lack of parking, homelessness on the rise, pedestrian street safety, and lack of funding. Now, how can the city or the role of the community services department play in addressing some of those issues? From the community, we heard having community engagement, similar to this, reaching out to the community. Pickleball, providing a dog area, enforcing e-bike rules, increasing maintenance, sharing communication, and having more events. This is all good information. There's a lot of details and analysis in here as well too. When I start to overlay those lenses, I overlay the demographics, I overlay where the parks are, I overlay the phone survey data, and I start to see common threads, commonalities as we go through this. Next slide, please. Now, This is not the only time we can take part or share your voice. As I mentioned earlier, there's a dedicated website. This is the website address, hermosabeach.gov/Parks Master Plan. On there, it shares information I've just shared right here. Same timeline, same mapping information, same information that I'm sharing tonight is on that website. So share it with your friends. You can also click on that feedback button right there. That feedback button will allow you to write down anything you want. There are no restrictions on it. Share anything you want about me. How I didn't wear a tie tonight. That's okay. That would be one of them. It's just hot. So next slide, please. Okay. So tonight, here we are. We're going to go through the workshop. Lisa's going to wrap up here in just a second, and then I'm going to start listening. Most important part is listening your voice. So as we go through this, please feel free to share anything and everything. I take everything you write down tonight and I assemble it. My job is to preserve it, record it, and share it back. Nothing gets filtered, nothing gets censored. So feel free to write anything down. It will be spell checked and grammatically checked. Don't worry, I couldn't live without spell check, so you're safe. And now, at the end of it, please visit the website. Please share the website with your friends and family. Take a picture of it. There's going to be a survey after tonight. It'll go live in the morning. And then the survey and the video presentation of tonight will also be online. And then everybody else can take it who didn't show up for tonight's workshop. You guys get the first bite at the apple here. I'll be the last person in the room. You can ask me questions throughout the rest of the night, or as long as you want to stay to answer anything as we go through this process. Next slide. A little bit of information here. If you have questions, you can email the project manager directly. That's John's email address, parksmasterplan@hermosabeach.gov. You can also visit the project website, send direct feedback to the design planning team, as well as sign up for the city's newsletter. There's also an Instagram and Facebook page for this project as well, too. We want to get the word out as much as possible because it's not just my analysis, it's your voice. I know I've said that a lot tonight, but that is the most meaningful part of it. That's what's going to set the tone for the next 5, 10, 15 years in the future. Next slide, please. Okay, Lisa, you want to wrap it up? I'll do questions right after first.
Thank you. I'll use this one. Yeah. Okay, next slide. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, I want to give a little bit of information about the last Parks Master Plan that was done. The last time that we did a Parks Master Plan was in 1990. That plan provided goals and recommendations for the city for Parks and Recreation through 2010. So some of the recommendations and goals that were met from that plan included the creation of a seasonal recreation brochure, which the department still maintains. It's our Live Hermosa recreation brochure. An upgraded community center. The community center was upgraded and renovated, expanded on in 2009. The creation of the skate park, more parkland with the addition of South Park and an expansion of Edith Rodaway Park, and also the creation of a senior center. And I know you didn't see that on my list, and earlier you didn't see a couple things on my list. I messed with the formatting, and I'm very particular about little mistakes like this. So I'm just going to recognize it because this is not my typical work. Okay, next slide. Okay, so why do we need a new Parks Master Plan? Since 2010, our recreation facilities and programs have evolved. So we, in addition to all of those that I mentioned on the other slide, we also now have a second-story theater. We have our beach tennis courts, we have pickleball courts, and we've created a park after-school program. So it is very common for cities to adopt a new Parks Master Plan every 20 to 30 years. So we are right on track right now to have a new one ourselves. We need a new one to show that reflects where we are now and to show where we need to be. So that closes out the presentation, and I'll hand it back over to Zach.
Can you hear me now? All right. Sometimes technology does not work with me. I am going to get to your question. I have not forgotten. Don't worry. Goldfish brain hasn't been affected quite yet, but I want to make sure I'm as expeditious with everybody's time so everybody gets a chance to have their voice heard in tonight's workshop. Before I take that question, what I'd like to do is I'd like to get us to meet some of our neighbors. I'm going to go around the room, and if you'll notice, there are numbers on each of these tables. doing a quick count. We're going to do 6 groups tonight. We actually had extra tables added in because we had such a good turnout last time. A lot more people were packed in and we were really tight. So the city did a really nice job of spreading things out for us. We're going to use 6 tables tonight. I'm going to go around the room and I'm going to count off 1 through 6. Please remember your number. I will not be able to. And then if you would please come to the corresponding table up front here. I'll start over here with Tom, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and 3. If you would please come on over to your tables. What number are you? 6. Oh, right back over there. Okay. If you came to my first workshop, if you can hear the sound of my voice, clap once. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap twice. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap 3 times. Keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping. Thank you. Thank you. That's the only way I get an applause in life nowadays. That was a joke. Come on. So if you've been here to workshop 1, you've heard my jokes before, but please don't spoil the secret of the volunteering roles. That's the fun part of tonight. So if you would please notice, there are pens on your table. There's a yellow notepad as well as a big marker. Now the big marker is for your table volunteer. And this is my brother-in-law, Captain Corporal Keith Lee, USMC retired, told me, Zachary, it's a all volunteer armed forces. You only get to volunteer once. After that, you're voluntold what to do for the rest of your life. He's a smart man. Now, if we have a volunteer at each table, that's wonderful. If we don't, I can come around. We can practice those USMC rules of volunteering, and I will select one. If you would please, table volunteers, your job is to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk as we get into the group conversations tonight. Before we do, I'm going to hand out these blue sheets of paper, and this is going to start our first question. Really important, if you would please, write your group number and your name at the top of each one of these. This first 5 minutes we'll take is going to be an individual exercise. So if you would please, take one and pass it around your table so everybody gets one. There's pens in the middle of the table. If you need pens, I'll come around and hand out some more. If you would please, write your name at the top and answer the first top 2 questions, and then we're going to pause. We're going to pause by just reading the list at the bottom. So we'll take about 2 minutes for this, 2 minutes. All right. It sounds like everybody's read that first list. That list being what is the name of the park or recreation facility in Hermosa Beach that you or members of your household visit the most often. Notice there's at the bottom right-hand side, there's none. There's also schools or other. So if there's something that's not on this list, you can go ahead and write one in there as well too. So we're gonna take another 2 minutes to answer this and then I'll come back. So whoops, there we go. So I'll tell you what, the question is, yes, choose only one, the most of it. And while you're reading that, what I'd like to clarify too, is there's a question asked earlier. What's the difference between this survey and the feedback online? This survey is specific questions that I'm looking for answers to. The feedback survey online is an open-ended paragraph that you can type to me, anything you want. It's just an open-ended thing. The feedback survey, you can take multiple times over and over and over. This one, we only get to take once in here, and then you can take once on the survey. So there is a difference between the two. The feedback will be open for the life of the workshop. You can always add more information in. So if you would please, let's answer the question individually. No cheating off your neighbors. What is the name of the park or recreation facility in Hermosa Beach that members of you or your household visit the most often? Then the next question individually. Why do you visit that park most often? All right, looks like we've got all our volunteers lined up. If you would please, notice that there's a large format sheet here. Each table has their own. Table 1, yours is right there on the wall. Table 4, right behind you. Table 5, over there. 6 and 3. If you would please, volunteers, come up with, as a group, the top 3 most visited facilities and why amongst your group, please, and then write them down up here. We're going to take about 5-6 minutes for this. About 3 or 4 more minutes. About 1 more minute, about 1 more minute. It's not a race, but most groups are finishing up. 1 more minute. All right, we're about finished. We're about finished. 60 seconds. 60 seconds. Okay, it looks like everybody's just about finished. If you're not finished, go ahead and wrap up the last one on your list. If I can have everybody's attention as I walk over here to group number 1 there. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap twice. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap 4 times. I had to count that one out. Thank you very much. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to present them. So volunteers, if you would please, I'll hand you the microphone, and would you please present your top 3 parks most visited and why to the group here? Volunteer.
All right, we went with Greenbelt, the community center and lawn bowling. The Greenbelt is popular for walking and walking your dog. The community center, there are a lot of classes that people take there, art, yoga, and then lawn bowling is popular for exercise. And we have a lawn bowling aficionado with us.
And volunteers, when you're done, you get to pick the next volunteer at your table too. That's one of the fun rules of tonight. Table 2, and I have your volunteer come on up and present your top 3 list of parks to us.
Our top 3 for the evening are lawn bowling, the beach, and the green belt. Lawn bowling, we said designed for seniors, but it really is an inclusive group, and the organized recreational part of it was important. For the beach, the self-led recreation, and then for the green belt, recreation at large, but also the ability to do gardening and nature.
Let's give group 2 a round of applause. Okay, group number 3. I love it. I love it. That's okay. This is the fun of it. Jim, put us in order. However, I see a number 4 on there. I love it. Okay. Okay, here we go. Jim, go ahead.
More than 3. Okay, so I'm gonna let this person talk.
Okay, 1 and 2 are Strand and Community Center. Okay, and 3 is lawn bowling and 4 is the green belt. The Strand is walking, dog walking, biking. Community center, city events, volunteering, especially dosing. Lawn bowling is a social sport, and green belt is walking and running.
That was a good catch there, by the way, and a great throw. Thank you. Thank you very much, group 3, for your extra points on there too. Group number 6, let's keep going around the room. Here's our volunteer here.
Hi, I'm Analia, and our top 3 were number 1, Beach Pier Plaza Strand, because of the self-led factor for us. We go out there, we just do whatever we want, bike around, walk around, hang out with friends, swim, surf. I didn't see that on the list. Very important, surfing. It may be there and I didn't see it. I take responsibility if I didn't. And number 2, community center. And we had trouble choosing between community center and museum. They were equally important in our group. So I just parenthesed that one for just as a mention. And what was important for the community center were the classes. And we have a docent for the museum. So that's why that was important. And 3 was lawn bowling, and because of the organized sports aspect of it.
All right. Now, wait a minute. Group 3 had extras on there. Group 5 has 1 left. We're balancing. These 2, we're balancing together. So group 5, who's your volunteer? All right. Tell us your thoughts.
Thank you, group 3, for balancing us out. Our number 1 most visited place was the Beach Pier Plaza in the Strand because of all of the amenities that are located in that one place. Collectively, biking, lawn bowling, walking the Strand, and recreation all cover both of our top 2 options. There's also a tremendous representation from the lawn bowling community here tonight. And the number 1 activity is dog walking. So, and then I think if we had to throw a third one on there, it would be social, because the activities at the Beach Pier Plaza in the Strand, as well as lawn bowling, are social activities.
Have a round of applause. Okay, last but not least, group number 4.
Hi, I'm Shannon. We were similar to everyone else. The first one was the beach for self-led activities, for checking out the restaurants, walking around, enjoying self-led stuff, all the above everyone mentioned. Second thing was lawn bowling for the organized activity. And the third thing was the Valley Park, specifically for the playground, taking kids there, and for a variety of other reasons.
Let's give group 4 a round of applause. If you would please, make sure your name and group number on all your blue papers, put them in the center of your table. Now, somebody had said in one workshop, yeah, these are weird questions. Why do you want to know what we like? Well, so now if I know where you go most often and what you like to do there, I can start to identify what you might like on other facilities or why you don't go to other facilities. So these questions start to weigh out, and we do this just in this room. Take a look at it. There's self-led, self-led, self-led. We have a lot of elements where we like that self-led element. We like the beach. We like to be able to walk along the green belt and recreate through nature. There's common threads just in this room. And that's not magic. That's because you as a community know how you like to recreate. We do this on a global scale with the entire community with those surveys. So please, I'm begging again, when you go home, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell the person at the stoplight next to you, as somebody's walking by you on the beach. That might be a little weird, but that's okay. Still ask them. So now what I'm going to do is I'd like to pass out another sheet. Now the next two questions are similar. Other than the color of the paper, the first sheet here is we'll call it violet or purple. This question starts to relate to programs. Here's where we're going to get to the heart of the matter. What is one recreation program, class, or activity you would most like to see added or expanded in the city of Hermosa Beach? So individually first, please. No copying off your neighbors. Take the next 2 to 3 minutes and write down, again, your name and group number. What is one program, class, or activity you would like to see added or expanded here within the community? There was a great question. Somebody said, hey, what about one I'd like removed? You know, I've never asked that question. But on that same sheet of paper at the bottom of it, you can write that down, because there are no wrong answers to this question. But I do want one you would like added. You can't just put removed on there. One you would like added, but I'll take both as long as they're written down, please. All right, sounds like everybody knows the drill now. If you would please, as a group, come up with your top 3 programs you would like added within the city of Hermosa Beach. The top 3 as a group. Okay, about 60 seconds, 60 seconds left. If you haven't written anything down, please do. 60 seconds. Thirty seconds, 30 seconds left, 30 seconds. All right. I found a credit card on the floor. I've got a credit card. It was on the floor. The credit card numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't have a credit card, but everybody wanted to get a credit card tonight. So if I can have your attention, please, not for a credit card, but for group threes or our rogue rabble rouser groups, top 5. I don't know how they added 2 onto this. If I can have your top 5 programs that your group has decided would like to be expanded or added in the city.
Yes, thank you. Our number one idea was a dog park and programs for dogs. And the number 2, senior activities at the beach with accommodations for seniors like shade and things like that. Number 3, separate the bike and walk paths and enhance bike safety. Because if you've been on the Strand, you know there's a lot of traffic, slow traffic and very fast traffic kind of mixed together. Number 4, fix the lawn bowling building, which hasn't been repaired in 50 years. And it is a great facility, but it needs repair. Number 5, youth programs all over the city, more youth programs.
Let's get your round of applause. We're going to go around the room this way. Group number 2, All right.
So, well, we went with the e-bike education and licensing program and a lawn bowling, fix a facility, and dog training. We're pretty simple, but we followed the rules. Great.
Let's give it up for group 2 following the rules. I love rule followers. All right, group number 1, if I can have your volunteer. Here you go.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay, most popular at our table, back to the Greenbelt, program that would foster community involvement in planning ahead for the Greenbelt, planning and maintaining the Greenbelt. Get the community involved in that. Also revive the garden club. And I guess that since the Clark building has been being worked, the garden club died. So it would have to come back and be able to use the, okay, good, I'm glad. And then a community-wide picnic with family activities.
Let's give group 1 a round of applause. All right, group 4. Dan, what are your top 3?
You mean top 4? Obviously, there are no rules, so we're going 4. Okay, so we have the community center entertainment programming. From what I hear at the table, there used to be a lot of plays and other types of programming that made the community center a vibrant place to go during the week and during the weekend. I've been here 18 years. That has not been the case since I've lived here or been paying attention. Number 2 is youth programming in areas of music and after school programs, also summer camps. I gladly throw my kids into Valley Camp every day. And if you know anything about that, registration opens at 9 o'clock on one day, and by 9:03, it's full for the entire summer. And it is the best program that my kids have ever been in. So if that can be expanded, and not just for the summer, all these after school programs, every kid in Hermosa, I don't know if everyone knows this, but every kid in Hermosa when they start in kindergarten all the way through 8th grade, they are all in one school together the whole time. They're not in 5 different schools like Manhattan Beach or 27 like Redondo. It's one school. All the parents know each other, all the kids know each other for those ages, and then they all go to high school together. So getting them together, all you have to do is get these kids together and they have a great time all day. Anyway, number 3 is beach parks. I think there was a little bit of controversy at our table between, do we want like a dog park on the beach? Maybe not. And then just like beach opportunities for parks, like what can you do? You know, different areas in Southern California have playgrounds on the beach, and those are absolutely incredible. If you have kids, you can just let them go. And number 4 is a little bit like a paid advertisement, maybe from Santa Monica, security and bikes. Pretty interesting, where like if you went to the AVP 2 weeks ago and saw all the e-bikes and regular bikes, there was 75,000 bikes just laying all over the place, kind of maybe locked up. And that's kind of an issue on the security side of things, and just on like organization. How do you deal with this kind of stuff? So that's actually that's an interesting topic. I think Shannon and Matt they have business cards if you want.
Let's give group 4 a round of applause. Whoops, sorry. All right, group number 5. Who's our volunteer this time? Matt again. All right.
Matt again. All right. Our number 1 programs are activity and event related. So we had art programs that were inclusive for all ages. I think there's also some free ones in the summertime for kids that may not be around any longer. Outdoor beach concerts and events, and then exercise classes in parks and the beach during the summertime. And then the dog park and dog training, there was also a discussion about maybe dog hours at the beach early in the morning, keeping it local to the residents here. And then the paid advertisement for providing bike and eco-friendly infrastructure and access and security. So.
And for following the rules. All right, last but not least, group 6.
I feel like I'm late with my assignment. I was still writing things down. We were a little disorganized. I'll just take responsibility for that. But we echo some of the same things, like more theater and music. Sort of what came up a lot was like by us for the performers in our community, our musicians, our thespians. Is that what you say when? Yeah. Um, anyway, so more of that, and more activities for seniors. Like there were movies every Wednesday, I heard. We heard in the group, and that doesn't happen anymore. And there used to be, yeah. So, and perhaps more gardening. And then we sort of started to bleed a little bit into educational and activity, I think, because also we've got cooking, craft, and then I'm not sure where our minds went. So thank you.
So remember the very beginning, I went through my presentation, we talked about that small town feeling, that community feeling, that sense of Hermosa Beach and Hermosa Town. I see that again tonight. The organization, the communication, the dialogue, even those common threads among each of the tables as we go around the room, that small town feeling is here and I really appreciate it. You guys are ultra organized. I love this. Now let's ask the next question. If you would please put all the papers in the middle of your table. I'm going to ask one more question tonight. This one, which some of you have already started to answer. I think you've been to my workshops in the past, is facilities now. We talked about programs, and that's okay if you put some facilities on them too. That's quite all right. Everything comes in. There are no wrong answers throughout this process. So the next question is, what is one park feature or recreation facility you would most like to see added or improved in the city of Hermosa Beach? Same rules apply. So if you would please, individually first, please pass that around. Here you go. There you go. Hey, now there's a lot of talking for individual questions. Individual first, please. Name and group number as well. All right, now you should be moving on to the group stage. Sounds like you are. About 30 seconds, 30 seconds. Okay, about 10 more seconds, 10 more seconds. Ready? Okay, all right. Okay, if you can hear the sound of my voice, snap your fingers. No snaps. No snaps. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap. There we go. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap twice. Nice. For our final presentations tonight, I'm going to start over here with the rabble. I'd say the rabble rousers, but it looks like you've extended to this group over here too. It used to be 3, but now it's 4 there, 4 there. All right, where's my rule followers? Thank you, group 4. All right, and even group 2. That's okay. Let's start over here. Group number 3. Let's hear your top 3 park facility features.
We would love to see a dog park either at the beach or in a green space operated by Parks and Facilities. We would love to see separate walk and bike paths with adjoined seating like benches. We had strong support for access to bathrooms in the community center from the back door. That seems like that's a real area of concern. And you know, there's one person in our group who's very pro lawn bowling and wants to see the lawn bowling building repaired. Thank you. Yeah.
We're going to go in reverse order. We'll come over here to group 6. Group 6.
Hi, I'm Dency. I'm the moderator or whatever, group leader this time around for group 6. Number 1, and I know it's been talked about here before, and we're looking forward to an update on the status of the Clark building. And, you know, so many organizations who use it can't right now. And where are we? But it's something everybody wants back in the community, certainly at our table. Number 2, and again, this is something we know we've talked about over the years, and we specifically didn't say 2 separate, but somehow on the strand, a wider strand with designated pedestrian, bike lanes, and it was even added perhaps with a planted median in between, dividing. We know there's issues with all about that. And this is my personal push, and it's one of the main reasons I've been coming to these, an improved, made usable Valley Park amphitheater. I'm on the board of Shakespeare by the Sea. We've been there coming for years. We can't really use the wonderful little amphitheater there right now because the trees have overgrown so much. And we can do this without getting rid of the trees. I would really hope that And just to add, we had 600 people there for 12th night on July 12th. We had 800 people in there for Hamlet. And it was done basically just taking advantage of the natural amphitheater that's right next to what is now our permanent little theater. So it could be done pretty easily. And I think it even goes back to the number 2 question. For music, for theater, for outdoor, it's a very unutilized space. And then we have to pay some attention to what almost became our number 3. And if there was a number 4, we put it there. And we realize it may not necessarily be Parks and Recs. There's a lot of other actors, but access from the east side of town to the west side of town, PCH. And we know we've talked about in the past a bridge or something that's not quite Parks and Rec, but it is something that's preventing a good portion of our community from participating in some of our recreational activities. There we go. Any of these things, if we build it, it will improve.
Thank you so much, Jency. Let's give group 6 a round of applause. Well done. Well done. Okay, group number 5. Matt again. Matt again.
All right. So the number 1 facility is dog park and dog hours and spaces for dogs. Number 2 is improving the lawn bowling facility, which falls under our larger category of improving the infrastructure facilities as a whole. So to give everyone a voice here at our table, we have improving seating at beaches in the park, specifically beaches or benches that face the beach along the Strand, like similar to Manhattan Beach. Improved bike security and programs to support connecting the parks and the community together. A teen center and community theater.
Are there top 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Well done. Okay, group number 4.
I stole the mic again. There's a lot of Clark building stuff and a couple represented here, but I had a different angle on Clark as Clark Field. And if anyone here is the kids that played Hermosa baseball at Clark Field, there's something called Clark Magic. And it's where 2, 3, 4 times a week during the baseball season, families all gather at Clark Field. They watch their kids play. And then most of all, even when they don't have a game, parents and families go and but there are opportunities with Clark Field to make that magic happen, not 3 months out of the year, but 12 months out of the year. And that's going to be through more opportunities for scheduled sports. So like basketball being played there, playground being there. Because right now, if you go to Clark Field at any day, it's dead. No one's there because there's nothing to do. So Clark Field is a big opportunity for this table. Number 2 is playgrounds and just the playgrounds on the beach. We have swings at here, 22nd, Longfellow. There's other beach communities. Did I already say this on the mic last time? There's other beach communities that have playgrounds and they're just great to have access to while you're on the beach. And then number 3 is native landscaping in the green areas of Hermosa Beach. I think we do this a little bit. It looks great and it's helpful for the environment. So that's our 3.
Let's give group 4 a round of applause. Thanks, Ben. All right.
All right.
There goes 5.
All right. All right, I think we were channeling group 6 or group 6 was channeling us. And first I'd like to congratulate the lawn bowling team. They knew that they had to all sit at the same table when the meeting started. So when the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 count, they would be evenly spread throughout. So congratulations. But I hear on good authority, lawn bowling needs new roof very, 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 very badly. Widen the Strand for a separate bike path so we can have some safety and not get run over. So ramps, restrooms for handicap, community center, Clark Building, so kind of paying attention to the details on that. And then the other one, the easier crossing PCH to get to the Greenbelt for people who want to walk from the east side of Hermosa to the Greenbelt, because even once you get across PCH, then you've still got steep hills. So something that's very broad and very easy for people on the east side to get to the Greenbelt and where it's happening. And then we did have another plug for the amphitheater. And like you said, it's easy. So let's do it. So there you go.
Let's give group one a round of applause. Well done. I love the atmosphere in here. Last group, last but not least, group number two. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Barbara.
All right. Well, Barbara over here has the lawn bowling. It was a setup, we all know, but that's good. They came. We're just going to call it the Clark Complex. It's not just pickleball. I mean, not just lawn bowling, but again, redo the facility, the roof, the bathroom, and then the two could become one. So that would be fun. South Park, fix the sprinklers, better lighting, and possibly change park hours. That comes with what happens in the summertime with the kids and what those hours are. We didn't have an idea, but that was a possibility. Bathrooms in front of Noble Park and the drinking fountains on the Strand are not always in the best of shape. And last, just keep the pickleball program the way it is right now. And we haven't had any complaints, so we were just going to acknowledge that.
Okay. All right, let's give group number two a round of applause here. Now, before we end, I have a couple last minute notes here that I want to talk about. And then I know Lisa has a question she wants to ask everybody here. But again, those common threads come up. Now, nicely done. I do always split people up, but you know why? I do that because I want you to talk to your neighbors. I do that because I like a mix of everybody in the group. So it's actually a strategic thing because then you get to talk to your neighbors more. You get to see their viewpoints and their ideas. So it's good to hear commonalities and common threads, but I also do this on the entire citywide scale too. And we'll see those common threads come through as well too. So as we start to analyze the data, I really want to ask you to share with your community members, your friends, as you're out in the community, honestly at that stoplight, let them know. Get involved in the Park and Recreation Master Plan, have their voice heard as well too. Speaking of voices, we want to ask where you got your information tonight. So Lisa, do you want to come on up and we'll close out with this final kind of a raise of hands question. We want to know where you got your information, how you heard about tonight, because that's also going to help inform us how we go out to the next workshop.
Thank you, Zach. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming. So I'm going to go through a list. And if this is, as I say, a topic, if that's how you heard about the Parks Master Plan, just raise your hand. So first, an announcement at a city council or commission meeting. 1, a flyer posted. Yeah. 3, 4. A flyer posted at a city facility or handed to you by a city staff member. 1, the city calendar. Yeah, the city website / city calendar. Yeah. Okay, and then city e-newsletter. E-newsletter. 12. Yeah. Social media. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5. There you go. The school district. All right. Word of mouth. 3. An email from me. 1. Awesome. Email in as much as I can. Okay. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us tonight. Oh, Beach Reporter. Beach Reporter. We have 1 for Beach Reporter. Any other ways? 2 for Beach Reporter. Anything else we missed? Hermosa 5-0, communications. 1. Advisory meeting. Okay, anything else? All right, thank you. This is really helpful because, yeah. Yeah, actually, hold on just a second. Let me see if, Joe, would you be willing to give an update on the the Clark Building CIP?
But before we take any more questions, I want to thank everybody personally. Thank you very much for coming out tonight and spending your evening with us, sharing your ideas. Please get more people involved. Tell your friends and neighbors. One last round of applause for everybody in your efforts tonight. Thank you very much. You guys did great tonight. Staff, myself will be around for the rest of the night. Come on up if you have questions.